Sophie was a young, pretty, ebony-faced woman with a plump and intact moderate body. Ever since she came to stay in the Golden City to work as a domestic servant, she never had a steady boyfriend. The only man who lasted longer than any other was Elias, who was from Emelu. He was the first man she met when she came to Johannesburg, and he was the only man she truly loved. She was obsessed with love that she readily abandoned any possessions or habits that Elias disliked. In spite of the priority his children and wife in Emelo enjoyed, she was still prepared to marry Elias without the slightest intention of disrupting his marriage during their love affair. One day, after a quarrel, Elias went away and never came back again. She phoned his place of enjoyment to be told by a friend of Elias that he had had enough of her. She never heard from him ever again. After Elias, Sophie never again had a steady boyfriend. They all deserted her after 2 or 3 months. But it no longer hurts. The only name that haunted her that day and night was Elias. Ever since Elias left her, she had never loved anybody else. All she wanted now was a husband she could be loyal to. But she could just not find one. Then along came Jonas, a tall, well-built Malawian who was much more considerate than any of the other men. For the first time in her young life, a thought came into her mind. She must consult a traditional doctor for help. She wanted to keep Jonas forever. She must see Baba first thing in the morning. The following morning, Sophie visited Baba, who was a street cleaner. The old man listened sympathetically to her problem while he swept rubbish out of a gutter. He told her to return at 4 in the afternoon. Sophie was there on time. Baba gave her a smelly, sticky stuff in a bottle. He told her to rub her whole body with it before the boyfriend came and to put it under the pillow when they slept. The poor girl agreed amicably. She did exactly as she had been told to do. She felt guilty as the atmosphere became tense in the little room. They ate in silence as the clock on the small table ticked away. Disturbing the deep silence, Jonas was not his usual self today. He was quiet in a strange manner. They were sleeping for some minutes when Jonas felt something peculiar under the pillow. It felt cold and smooth.
Sophie! Sophie! What is this under the pillow?
He called, shaking her gently. Sophie had felt the strange object soon after they had climbed into bed, but she had been scared to ask Jonas what it was. "I don't know. Switch on the light. Let's have a look," she replied, pretending to be sleepy. With a trembling hand, Jonas fumbled for the switch. Gosh, what a big snake! Jonas was the first to jump out of bed. Sophie followed. They fiddled with the door until it was open and ran into the brightly lit street. Semi-naked, they knocked at the servant's room of a house in the neighborhood to wake up a friend of Sophie. Sophie's friend was very stunned to find them in that manner. Quickly, they explained the situation and together they went back to Sophie's room. Through the window, they could see the snake lying across the bed. Sophie was very scared. But Jonas, Christ! Jonas, he could hardly speak. Realizing that things were bad, Sophie decided to tell the whole truth. She told Jonas she did it because I wanted to keep you forever. They decided to go to a traditional doctor who stayed a few streets away. They knocked, and after waiting a while, the doctor answered. He opened the door but quickly closed it again. They heard him say, "Wait outside. I can sense something melancholy." They could hear the indigenous doctor saying something in a strange language, and the smell of burning muti came to them in full force. He began to moan as if speaking to gods in a faraway land. He then opened the door and inquired what their problem was. Sophie retold her story.
Oh, my girl. What you have in your room is Mamlambo.
What? Mamlambo? Oh God, what have I done to deserve such punishment? What big sin have I committed to be punished in this manner?
Tears streamed continuously down her cheeks.
The witch doctor was tired of it, so he transferred it to you. So it's your duty to transfer it to someone else or keep it.
Transfer it to someone else? Oh no! Why don't we throw it into the river or somewhere?
Sophie grumbled.
You can't. Either you transfer it or you keep it. Do you want my help or what?
Asked the doctor in a businesslike manner. Yes, Sophie agreed in a tired voice, eyeing her friend, Sheila, and the timid Jonas, with the I hate to do it look. The traditional doctor took a large suitcase from the top of the wardrobe, put some muti inside, and burnt it. He moaned again, as if speaking to gods they could not see. He chanted on this manner for what seemed like ages.
You will take the suitcase to your room and put it next to your bed. The snake will roll itself into the suitcase.
He saw that Sophie was doubtful, so he added,
It's your snake. It won't harm you. You will then go to a busy place and give it to someone. Then you would figure it out for yourself.
They all went back to Sophie's room. The big snake was still there. Having told herself that come what may, Sophie tiptoed into the room and put the suitcase next to the bed. Slowly, as if it was smelling something, the snake lifted its head, slid into the suitcase, and gathered itself into a neat coil. Her mind was obsessed with Johannesburg Station, where she would give Mamlambo to someone for good. She walked quickly towards the taxi rank, impervious to the weight of the suitcase. She did not want to do this to anyone, but she had no option. Remembering that taxis were scarce after 8, she quickened her pace. She saw a few police cars patrolling the area, probably because of the high rate of housebreaking in the area, she thought. It was while she was daydreaming at the bus stop that she realized the car at the traffic light with the patrol car headed in her direction. Should she drop the suitcase and run? But they had already seen her and she would not get far. How would she explain the whole thing to the police? Will they believe her story? The news will spread like wildfire, and she's a witch. What would Elias think of her?
What are you doing here at this time?
Asked the passenger policeman. I'm waiting for a taxi,
I'm going to the station.
answered Sophie, surprised that her voice was steady.
We don't want to find you here when we come back.
Commanded the policeman, eyeing the suitcase. The car screeched away. She was relieved when the taxi appeared. The driver loaded the suitcase in the boot, asking what was so heavy. She simply told him it was groceries. There were 2 other passengers in the taxi who both got off before the taxi reached the city.
Are you going to the station?
Inquired the driver inquisitively.
No, I'm going to the bus terminus.
I know you are going to the station, and I'm taking you there.
You can't take me to the station. I'm going to Main Street next to the bus terminus.
Ignoring her, he drove straight to the station, smiling all the way. When they reached the station, he got out of the car and took the suitcase from the boot. Sophie paid him and gestured that she wanted her suitcase, but the man ignored her.
So which platform are you going? I will take you there.
I don't want your help at all. Give me my suitcase and leave me alone,
She urged, beginning to feel hot under the collar.
Or are you going to the luggage office?
Mocked the man, going towards brightly lit office. Sophie was undecided. Should she leave the suitcase with the man and vanish from the scene? Or should she wait and see what will happen? What was this man up to? Did he know what was in the suitcase, or was he simply inquisitive? Even if she bolted, he would find her easily, if only she had brought someone with her. Suddenly, she was overwhelmed by anger. Something told her to take her suitcase from the man by force. He had no business to interfere in her affairs. She went straight into the office, pulled the suitcase from between the man's legs, and stormed out. Stiff-legged, she walked towards the station platform, feeling eyes following her. She zigzagged through the crowds, deaf to the pandemonium of voices and music blaring from various radios. She hoped the taxi driver wasn't following her, but wouldn't dare to look back.
Hey, you girl, where do you think you're going?
It was the voice of the taxi driver. She stopped dead in her tracks without turning. She felt a lump in her throat and tears began to fall down her cheeks. She was really annoyed. Without thinking, she turned and screamed at the man.
And what do you want from me? What on earth do you want?
With his worn-out cap tipped to the right and his hands deep in his khaki dust coat pocket. The smiling man was as cool as ever. The angered Sophie, even more, challenged the taxi driver indifferently, fingering his cap time and again.
What's the matter?
Asked the police, who had been watching from a distance.
This man has been following me from the bus rank and is still following me. I don't know what he wants from me.
This woman is a liar. She boarded my taxi and she's been nervous all the way from Kensington. I suspect she's running away from something. She's a crook,
emphasized the taxi driver, looking for approval at the crowd that had gathered around them.
You are a liar. I never boarded your taxi and I don't know you. You followed me when I left the bus rank.
Sophie wept, tears running freely down her cheeks.
Let's open the suitcase. Let's see what's inside. All right. Quiet, everybody. I'll do the talking now. Young man, do you know this woman? I picked her up at Kes. I'm asking you a straightforward question, and I want a straightforward answer. I'm asking you for the last time now. I say, do you know this woman? No, I don't know her. Did she offend you in any manner? No. Off you go then, before I arrest you for public disturbance,
barked the policeman, pointing in the direction from which the man had come. Then he turned to Sophie.
My child, go where you are going. This rascal has no business to interfere in your affairs.
Relieved, she picked up her suitcase, thanked the policeman and walked towards platform 14 as the policeman dispersed the people and told them to mind their own business. Platform 14! The old lady grew impatiently. What's holding him? She thought. She came by monthly for her pension pay, and each time the taxi dropped them on the platform. Her son would go to the shop to buy food for the train journey home, but today he was unusually long in coming back. These were the thoughts going through her mind when a young, dark, pretty woman approached her.
Greetings, Gogo,
said the young woman, her cheeks producing dimples. Greetings, my child, answered the old lady, looking carefully at this young, pretty woman who was a symbol of a respectable Makoti.
Where is the train to Durban departing?
Asked Sophie, consulting her watch. At 10 o'clock. The conversation was very easy with the old lady. The cars and people on the platform increased.
Excuse me, Gogo. Can you look after my luggage while I go to the shop? I won't be long.
Okay, my child, agreed the old lady, pulling the suitcase nearer. She quickly ascended the steps. By the time she reached the top, she was panting. To her surprise and dismay, here was Elias shaking hands with another man. They chatted like old friends who hadn't seen each other for a long time. Sophie stood there confused. Fortunately, Elias' back was turned on her, and the place was teeming with people. She quickly recovered and mingled with the crowd. Without looking back, she zigzagged through the crowded arcade. She was relieved when she alighted from the bus in Kensington. She had nearly come face to face with Elias. Fortunately, he was cheerfully meeting his friend. She was scared all the way to the bus terminal, but more so for the taxi driver. Now something else bothered her. The old lady, who was she? Sophie felt as if she knew her or had at least seen the woman before. She searched into the past but couldn't locate her. What will happen to the suitcase? Will the old lady take it? And Elias? What was he doing there? She suddenly felt hatred for Elias. He had never pitied her, and it was worse when she phoned his place of employment to be a laughingstock to his friends. She became angry with herself to have allowed her life to be dominated by love that brought her no peace or happiness. While Jonas was there giving her all the love and kindness he possessed. For the first time, she fell in love with Jonas. But will he still accept her? If only he could ask her to marry him. She would not do it for the sake of getting married. She would be marrying a man she truly loved. Jonas and the native doctor were seated on the bed when Sophie came in. Sophie was surprised to see all Jonas' belongings packed.
Oh, are you leaving me, Jonas?
Sophie whispered in a shaky voice.
No, darling. My father wants me back in Malawi because he can no longer handle the farm by himself. And I will be very happy to take you along with me.
But I don't have a passport. How can I go to Malawi without one? And besides, my parents won't know where I am.
We are in fact not going today. We would negotiate with your parents next Saturday,
said Jonas, pointing at the doctor, who sat quietly on the bed, nodding time and time again. It was a cool, sunny Saturday when the doctor took Sophie and Jonas to the airport in his small car. Sophie was going to board a plane for the first time in her life. Jonas had made many trips to see his ailing father, who wanted him to take over the farm. For a long time, Jonas had ignored his father's pleas for him to take over the running of the farm. But now he had finally relented. Through the car window, Sophie watched the people moving in and out of the shops. The trees lining the avenue and the flowers in the gardens looked beautifully and peacefully as they fluttered in the cool morning air. It was as if she was seeing this part of Johannesburg for the first time. They couldn't identify Baba among the crowd that stood attentively at the balcony as they stared through the plain window. The flying machine took off and the crowd waved cheerfully. Sophie felt that it was going to be taking her away from a monster that had terrified her a few days ago. The buildings became smaller as the aeroplane went higher, until the undersurface of the vast sky. She wondered where in one of those houses was Mamlambo, but could never guess that he had become property of Elias. Yes, after Elias had chatted to his friend, he went back to his mother.
Whose case is this, Mama?
A young girl, she asked me, to look after it for her until she returned, but I don't know what happened to her. Well, if she doesn't come back, I'll take it.